So, looking more into depth on when we're in the pit, when we're in that time of spiritual low and depression, I just want to ask you to reflect on this one question, and that is, what is your view of Him? I mean, in this case, what is your view of God when you can't seek joy? Maybe it appears dormant, like in Habakkuk, or what am I trying to say? Like when Habakkuk was crying out to God, how long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrong? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict abounds. And this is how Habakkuk starts talking to God. Like, sometimes we're like Habakkuk, where we're just like, where are you, God? And that's our view of Him. He's dormant. Another view we can have is no view at all. Maybe God just doesn't appear, and you don't even think that He's even there, nor do you take a second to just consider that His presence is even there, or to even see if He's there. And I just want to ask, like, in those spiritual lows, how is it possible for us to seek joy and peace during those times when we don't even know what true joy and peace are, when we don't even know that these things come from this God who's out there that we can't even see or hear from at that time? It's just kind of logic, you know, like it's so hard, you can't even try to begin seeking out something that you don't even really know its appearance of. And so, let's see. Yes. Okay. Sometimes not sometimes. During this time, we need to know who God is in our life. Regardless of what we're experiencing, we just need to know facts, truth right here. And Jesus even calls out Peter during his time of spiritual turmoil, depression, low. I'm not sure what he's going through, but in this case we can kind of relate to him. He's having this disconnect, and Jesus asks the disciples at that time, who do you say that the Son of Man is? And they're answering, they're like, no, they answer, they're so well rehearsed, they've been everywhere with this guy. And then Jesus looks directly at Peter and he's like, who do you say that I am? Like, who do you say that I am? Kind of calling out Peter in his time of strife. And during our time of spiritual low, or that time of depression, that when we hit that, who do we say God is? Do we declare Him as Lord? And the more that we start looking into this, the more we start asking God, like, seeking His presence, seeking Him in the midst of that time, and seeking to understand who He really is in the midst of our strife, it begins to start transforming your view of your world, which at that point, at the beginning, is without joy, that it's non-existent, and I mean, it is for other people, but just not for you right now. And so going back to Habakkuk, as he starts talking with God more and more, his view of God begins to change more and more. And we see this happening at in Habakkuk 3 verse 2, where he says, Lord, I have heard the report about you. Lord, I stand in awe of your deeds. Revive your work in these years. Make it known in these years. In your wrath, remember mercy. And his situation is a little bit different. Habakkuk's coming from this time where God chose to remove his presence from Israel. And those who were godly and faithful to God were feeling the effects of that. And they were just, when they see this happening to their country and they're part of that country, like, they're gonna be in some pretty deep lows. And it's amazing just to see how Habakkuk, through talking to God, as he was a prophet, come out of this and into a new light, a new view, a new vision of who God is in the midst of Israel's situation. And so we need to do this as well during these times. It's so imperative. It's so important. It's you can't get out of the pit without it successfully or fully. And so I want to ask you, who do you know God to be during these times of depression? Who do you know? Do you remember him to be somebody from the past for you? Or draw him right there in the presence, coming, seeking him to be Lord over your life? In light of Advent season, I just want to whip out this verse and So then as we get to know who God is in our life, we begin to understand the power that he holds and that he can hold in the midst of our situation. And we see this as Habakkuk closes out. Yahweh my Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like those of deer and enables me to walk on mountain heights. How amazing. Like, here we start all the way back from when he was questioning God, where are you? Are you even there? Are you even listening? Lord, do you even hear us? To Yahweh, which means, okay, one second. Yahweh meaning, come on Google. It means it's the word for I am. It's like, okay, he's even declaring in the midst of your situation that he is. Like, Habakkuk's realizing that he realizes God as I am, and then sees that he has the power to lift him out of the pit onto mountain heights. Like, for them this was tall because they didn't have skyscrapers or the meme, but yeah. And so I just want to encourage you to declare during these times, if you're seeking to get to a place where you can start to understand that peace and joy are possible in your life, declare him Lord over your life, and declare his son as he's meant to be declared in your life. Like, God didn't just send him down so that we can just say, yeah, he was a great person, like, yeah, love Jesus, God loves us, he saved us and rescued us, type of thing. Yeah, but in that midst, to like declare him as that wonderful counselor, the mighty God, the eternal Father, Prince of Peace. And you'll start to be able to understand that, wow, this God is real, so that must mean the joy and peace that come from him, that he stands for, can also be real in my life.